Right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to come up with us early in the morning. I really appreciate it. So my name is Muhammad Umar Khan. I'm one of the offering managers with Cogniz Analytics. I work more on the development side, product development side, work with development, design, sales, marketing, to help ensure our product is very competitive in the market and is best in class. And I'm also joined by my colleague, Dennis Bahira, in the back. Probably a familiar face here at the Center of Business Analytics and Performance. He's the education lead for the Center of Advanced Studies at IBM. And thank you so much, Angela, for organizing this and for hosting us today. Thank you. So this workshop is actually very good because if you are new to Cogniz, if you never used a business intelligence tool before, this is going to give you a very good introduction. At the same time, if you did use Cogniz before, if you had technical experience with Cogniz, this is going to give you a good introduction to the 11.1 release, which is a very forward-jumping release. We added a lot of new enhancements in the release, so you'll get an update of what's new in this new version. Just to get an idea, how many of you never used a BI tool before? Oh wow, very good. Okay, how many of you used Cogniz before? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, just 4 people. Okay. So, I'll keep it as simple as possible. I'll try to, tell the definitions of as many terms as possible as we go along. At the same time, if you don't understand something, if you're not familiar with the term, just raise your hand. Let me know. I can explain it further. Just to give you a lay of the land, most of the workshop today is hands-on. It's we'll actually spend most of the time doing the demo. But just to get us started, we'll look at why do we actually need business intelligence first, and then just a bit of intro to Cogniz Analytics, just so when we're actually doing the demo, you know what we're trying to achieve at the end. So why do we need business analytics? We see this term thrown out a lot in the industry now. It's becoming a big thing, and that's because companies not only have to stay best in their products, but they also need to have that extra insights that can help them achieve a bit more than the rest of the competition. They want to answer questions like what happened, where are the problems, how they can improve in certain areas, how often do these things happen, and what actions they can take. And what better way to actually do this than basing it off the data that you have. Now we see a lot more companies gathering a lot more data than they used to before. So they have a lot more data, they want to use that to make business decisions. And that's what they want to use to benchmark and improve their performance. And just a statistic, 84% of CEOs are concerned about the quality of the data that they're basing their decisions on. 84%, that's a pretty big number. So that's a good opportunity for all of us to improve in our business analytics skills, because this is something that's going to be very valuable in the market as we go on. So, analytics. We have Excel. We can process data in Excel. Why do we actually need Cogniz? Any guesses? I mean, the answers are already here, but any initial thoughts?
I guess this platform is much easier to use because if I do a simple visualization, I need to figure out how it's very difficult. If I use an inbuilt tool, it becomes very easy to work with.
Very good point. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see that today, the ease of using a business intelligence tool. Any other thoughts?
Wasn't designed for big data.
Wasn't designed for big data. I really appreciate that comment, because we actually have customers. What do you think is the number of rows of the maximum amount of rows a customer might have of data? 60,000? No? More? Few million thousand? More? Just data, rows of data. It could be in databases or so. In a database, let's say. My question is, what do you think is the maximum amount of data that people actually use? Not Excel, any kind of data. How many rows they might have of data? Millions. There you go. We have actual customers that use billions of rows of data to process at the same time. It's huge. You think Excel can manage that much data. Like, not only that, there's also the factor of scalability. Like big customers like Walmart, Amazon, they have big data coming in all the time, and you have thousands of users using that data, trying to get insights from that data. Excel, we can use it one person at a time, maybe a few people, but when it comes to scalability for like big enterprise, you need a business intelligence tool that can actually handle that performance.
I just want to mention time is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I find Cognos is very fast at doing analysis.
Yeah.
Whereas Excel takes a long time.
That is very true. Time, because nowadays, like, if you don't get to insights quick, then you're like almost out of date. So it's a very good point. Thank you, Angela. So we see different organizations having the different needs. Like, this is like a typical organization. You have the finance department, human resources, marketing, sales, product development. They have their own needs. They want to do their own things. Things like, pay stubs or campaign results, how the campaign is going, financial reports, KPI tracking, target attainment. They want to keep track of these things so that they can use it to improve their performance. And when we have different teams, you might have different ways of the way that they store the data. One team might use Amazon's cloud, one team might use IBM's cloud, one team might go with Microsoft. You have different data in different places. It's all scattered around because it's a big organization. There's no unified place where they store the data. And as well, now more and more we see big companies are more worldwide. And you have teams deployed in different countries, not only regions. What do you think comes with different countries? Like, what roadblock comes with a different country? There's a very big one that we see all the time now. Okay.
Tariffs, customs, money exchange.
Yes, that's one. Okay, here's a tip. You probably received a ton of emails about this when it happened. It's a data policy. Governance. If you're all familiar with GDPR, we've all got like a ton of emails from everyone that have our data, like GDPR rules. It's basically a data policy from the European Union on how we handle data. So when it comes to different countries, they have their own policies of how they want to handle their data, like who should have access, when you want to delete it, things like that. So these all challenges come with when you're working with data. So you need a tool that can manage all of that, and that's where Cognos Analytics comes in. It's a tool that allows you to do all of that in a very efficient and timely fashion. Like Angela said, you can prepare your data. A lot of time we have big data, and it takes a lot of time. Most of the time spent in actually creating business analytics reports and things is spent in prepping your data, cleaning it up, and things like that. So we'll see how easy it is in Cognos Analytics to do that. We also analyze our data to actually gather insights, find out why some things are happening or what is happening with our data. And as well, deliver. It's not just about finding those insights, but it's also about actually using them. So giving it to the management, giving it to the right people, giving it to the right managers, so they can actually use that reports or dashboards to actually do something with that. Just to get us started, Cognos is very good. Let's break it down into two big things: self-service and managed reporting. Let's start with self-service. Can someone give me an example of what that might be? Kind of already mentioned it, but no? Okay. So let's take an example. If you're IBM CEO Ginny, and you have hundreds of thousands of employees under you, you have a ton of amount of data, and you want to understand what's happening with my company. I want to understand my company. Do you think that Ginny's going to get an Excel file with all the data from the different departments, and she's going to sit down and actually go and analyze that data? Probably not, right? It doesn't make sense. She probably has a dashboard where she can see everything, like few key metrics, KPIs. KPIs, if you're not familiar, stands for key performance indicators, just like the important metrics. She just wants to see that and wants to know quickly what's happening with her company. So that's where self-service comes in. there's a user, they want to see how things are happening. If you're Walmart, you want to see how your products are, your different departments are doing. You can go in and do that. Managed reporting. What might that be? Any examples?
Make some useful reports for the company.
Very good example. Yeah, absolutely. That's one big one.
All have cubes or something like that.
That's the type of data, but we can use that to do managed reporting. Any other examples? I can tell you, like, at least all of you have seen at least one report, more than one, but at least one in the past month. All of you. It's not only for managers. Any guesses?
A statement of our banks.
Exactly. So bank statements are reports. Your Rogers or phone bill is a report. Your internet bill is a report. Because you think, like, when Rogers sends out their bills, do you think a person goes and checks your minutes, puts everything down in a report, and sends it out to you every month? That's probably not how it's happening. It's a scheduled report. Everyone gets the same. If you're a Rogers customer, you get the exact same looking report, just with your data and your data, right? It's all automated. It's all scheduled in the system. They use your data to send out those reports. That's an example of managed reporting. And since we're at U Ottawa, your transcripts that you get from your registrar's office, that's a report as well. All transcripts look the same, but it's based on your grades and data that you have. So just an example of managed reporting. So just a few highlights. In self-service, like you said, all up cubes and things like that. It makes it very easy in Cognos to actually prep your data and clean it and filter it. We'll see that in the demo today. We also have the new exploration capability in the 11.1 release, which helps you to get to why things are happening in your data. The AI assistant helps you to get a head start on creating your analytics. You can create dashboards, stories, and reports. Stories, we probably won't cover it in the demo today, but I'll just talk about it more now. Imagine you are a data scientist. You put a nice presentation together for your boss, and you're presenting. And you have a nice chart that you took a screenshot of. And as you're presenting, your boss asks you, like, what's this value? You look at the chart, you tell him this value. And then he asks you, like, oh, what about if I change this particular, if I want to filter down to this particular country, how would this look like? And you're kind of stuck. Like, you can't click on the chart, you can't do anything. You'll have to tell him, okay, I'll get back to you after the presentation, or, I can maybe set up another time. But in stories, you have full interactivity, just like how you would in a dashboard. If your boss asks you something on the presentation, just go and click, you find out the value, because you can fully interact with all the charts. Basically, an interactive way of presenting a PowerPoint presentation. And obviously, reports we'll look at today. So the primary use cases for self-service is like to answer questions, to do some ad hoc analysis on your data, and for some prototyping. Managed reporting is more for those power users, like who actually want to do like in-depth analyses and reports, create reports. We actually call that pixel perfect reporting as well, just because you have flexibility to actually customize your report down to the pixel, like so you can make it look as you want. And as well, we'll see how the AI assistant, especially in visualizations, how it helps you to pick the best visualization that matches your data, and even helps you in the layouts. And all of this is good, but another thing which is very important is administration, especially for enterprises. If you're a big enterprise, you want to make sure everything is proper. You're following your security policies, things like that. And that's where the administration part comes in. Where you can actually manage that user. So all self-service and managed reporting is underlined by the Smarts engine, which helps make your life easy. We'll look over all of this. It's going to make a bit more sense after. You can manage your data access, who gets access to what. That is also what governance means. You can, if let's say you're a financial department, you don't want the marketing and other teams to see the financial data. You only want a particular set of users. So you can go in and you can restrict that access. And obviously the enterprise architecture, you want it to be scalable. One thing I'm very proud of about Cognos is since the beginning, we have been like very big in security. Like it's been in our DNA since our start. And obviously now a lot of people are moving to the cloud. So obviously we have both the cloud and on-premise offering. On-premise is basically you just install Cognos and install it on your desktop. So to make things fun, this is the last slide. We'll jump into the demo that's more fun and interactive. But just to give us a good idea, well, let's say for this workshop, play that role of a data analyst in a retail store. So we are like maybe let's say Walmart or like Best Buy or something like that. We are a data analyst working in that store. And I get an email from my boss saying that the sales are down and we need some insights on how we can improve that. As well, my manager wants to understand what's happening with the business and wants to interact with their data himself. And he also reports to the CEO with KPIs every month, and he likes to know like ahead of time what those values are. So there are three things here. One is we want insights from our data. That's aka exploration in Cognos Analytics. Number two is more like a dashboard feature. They want to be able to interact with the data. And number three is report. They want a report every month that they'll have with the key metrics. So we'll keep with those three in mind. Let's actually jump right into the demo. Angela sent out an email, right, with the links. You must have all received that. And if you want, you can follow along. Did you already send out the homework script? Okay, perfect. So the homework script has a link to the file itself. If you want to follow along the demo, you can do that. The script is actually very well documented. Dennis is the one who made it. So you can, if you want, after the workshop as well, go and explore it because it's very detailed step by step. So it's up to you if you want to follow along with the presentation or if you want to try doing it hands-on the product itself. We'll wait a few seconds for those who want to join online now. That's the link to go right into the environment for Cognos. All right, so let's jump into the product itself. Awesome. So if you're, well, like most of you are new to Cognos Analytics, this is the welcome screen, which you see when you log into Cognos. And like you have a few of your recent items in the middle here, a few videos to get you started, some sample data if you want to play around. As well on the left-hand side, you have a shortcut to the home screen, which is the screen we see here. As well as search, which allows you to search through all of your assets that you have in Cognos. A My Content folder, which is personal to you. So this is data that only you can see. So if you want to just test things out, you can do it here. There's also the Team Content folder, which is shared across the different members in your organization. So this is where you can share your different reports and your OLAP cubes, dashboards, things like that. And if you remember, we were speaking about governance, right? Here I can go into my properties and I can set permissions as to who gets to see what. So I can go in and say, okay, all my consumers either get to read, run, write, or get full access to this, or I can even go in and deny access. So if I don't want someone to see a particular, welcome, come in. So if I don't want someone to see anything, I can remove their access and then I can secure my environment that way. As well, I have a few of my recent items. If I want to jump directly. Manage is more for administration. Right now, I'm not an admin, so I don't have a lot of options here. But this is where you can go in and set different settings. A lot of enterprises like to use what we call routing rules. Users to use one server so that's not overloaded, things like that. You can do all of that in the admin. And lastly, we have new at the bottom, where you have the option to create a new report, dashboard, an exploration, a story, and a data module. And you also have the option to upload a file, as well as create a job. A job is basically a sequence of things that you want to do together. We won't go into jobs today, but it's a very simple concept. So to begin, we'll start like how a typical user begins. You get an email with the data itself. In this case, it's an Excel file with 65,536 rows. This is the sample that we are using today. And it has 3 tabs: member purchases, returns, and overall sales. Sorry? So in the homework script, there is a link to the file. So if you go to the home, I'll show it here. So this is the homework script. So if you scroll down, you have access to the file here. Just right click and save link as, and you can download it as CSV. Did someone get it? Just so we can... Yeah. Okay, so we have it there. So there's a different file from the one. It's the exact same file, just that it's in one tab. It's 3 tabs. Yeah, it's the same thing. So that's the same file. So we have 65,000 rows and 3 tabs in this case, but in the homework script it's just 1 tab. So that's what we will be using. So in this case, I already uploaded it to my Cognos environment. So we'll begin from there. And just before we begin, just to give you a lay of the land, what we'll do is we'll bring in the data and start creating a data module. That's how we clean and shape our data. And then we'll go and create a dashboard off of that data module. And then we'll look at reporting. And then finally, the most exciting part, we'll look at the exploration feature that's new in Cognos Analytics 11.1. That's where we have, how many of you are familiar with Watson Analytics? Or used Watson Analytics before? Okay, a few of you. So a lot of the features that used to be in Watson Analytics, but advanced like analytics, predictive analytics, things like that, we brought it into Cognos Analytics. And it's in this feature here in exploration. So we'll look at that at the end. So since I already have my Excel file uploaded to my system, you can drag and drop it. You can click on upload files and choose from there as well. I'll click on my file and say create data module. And sure, okay. Yeah, we'll wait a few seconds. Yeah. Yeah, if you're opening the PDF and it might not work, try it in Google Chrome and then you open it with Chrome. Yeah, so just right click. Nice, so just right click. Right now, it's just opening the file. Yeah. I'll repeat this up. Everyone on the same page? Okay. Yeah. I'll start. Yeah, just drag it off. It's in the downwards. Anyone else need some help? Good. Alright, I'll start from scratch. We'll go back to our home page. Alright. All good? Okay. So once you upload your file, it will show up in your recent items. There's two ways to start. You can either click on new and click a choose a data module, or the easier way is just clicking on the three dots on the file and clicking on create data module. That way you'll be taken directly into the UI. This is where it might be slightly different for both of us because I'm having three tabs, you might have one, but it's the same. We'll do most of the same similar things, so you can follow along easily. So if you click on the table and click on the accordion, the small triangle style icon there, you'll see the different columns that you had in your Excel file automatically got classified as attributes or a geographic location, measures are like numeric values, things like that, like time fields. So all these automatically got classified, saving you time from actually going and doing it yourself. The system is smart enough to recognize the different fields in your data and classify it automatically. And if you click on the table, you will see a preview of your data. You can go through it and analyze it if you want. And as you're going through this, you might find something in your data which is not something you might like. So for example, as I'm looking at this, I find a null value in my city column. I have all my cities, but there's a null value, which is not good, right? It's going to skew my visualizations later. So to clean my data, I can very easily do this by simply right-clicking on the column city. If you right-click, an on-demand toolbar pops up, giving you a number of actions that you can perform on that column. So in this case, I'll simply perform the filter action, where I can go in and I'll find my null value, check my null value, invert it so it chooses everything except null, and click OK. Just in a couple of clicks, I cleaned all my null values from my data. You don't have the null value? Okay. Yeah, the data set is slightly different. Oh yeah, you do. Okay. So, okay. How about this? Since the file is slightly different, what we can do is we'll go over the presentation I have. I'll walk you through everything, and then we'll actually do the hands-on workshop. And then we can actually work all of us with using the same data set. That way we all can follow together. Make sense? So just follow along, see how I'm doing things, and then we'll do the same thing again with the homework script. Sure. Yeah. Is it too dark?
Actually, I turn off the
Is this good?
yeah,
Okay. you're trying to use? Oh, okay. Or maybe the projector. It's blinking doesn't mean that it's turning off. Or... No, that's okay. Just trying to help. So, first step so we can all follow together. I'll just restart so we can go from the start. Awesome. So I have my Excel file. I can either click on New Data Module, or I can click on the three dots on my Excel file and say Create Data Module from here. I have two options. I'll do that now. And as soon as I do that, the system is smart enough to recognize the different fields in my data. It automatically classifies them as attributes, which is like text-based fields, geographic locations. If it sees a city, it automatically classifies that as a geographic location. You have measures, which are numeric values, and as well the time fields that we have. So it's going to save you a lot of time in actually processing your data because the system is doing this for you without you having to go through the trouble. And if you click on the table, you can see a preview of your data, how it looks like. And normally, people come in and try to look at the data to make sure everything is good. As I'm looking at my data, I find a null value. And obviously that's not good because it might skew my graphs later. So I want to be able to remove that and clean my data. What I can do is easily right click on the column that I have and say filter. And that allows me to pick the null value, set bar. And I can invert the filter. So it picks every city except null. And if I click OK, in just a few clicks, I have my data cleaned from null values. Very nice and simple. No need to code anything in a few clicks. Further, as I'm analyzing, looking at my table, I see that my loyalty column has LP as a prefix for all of my loyalty numbers. I mean, it's not as helpful to have the LP prefix because it doesn't add any value. So I want to be able to remove that prefix. So what I can do again is easily right click on my column, and in this case I'll perform the split action. And what this allows me to do is pick a delimiter, in this case it's a hyphen, based on which everything before the delimiter splits into one column and everything after that delimiter splits into another column. This is very helpful when you have data like, let's say, a coordinates of a country or a location to be precise, and you have brackets and comma in the middle. You want to remove all that extra clutter, you can easily come in and do this here. And if I click next, I can rename my columns. I'll call this loyalty ID. And if I click OK, I now have two new columns in my data. I'll just delete my loyalty number 1 column. It's just prefixes. So remove. And there you go. I have my loyalty IDs nice and easy for me to use later. Now you can do a number of things here. We'll highlight a few things. So for example, you can create what's called a navigation path, and this is basically like a guided path on how you want to drill through in your data. If you're not familiar with these terms, when you actually get to like a dashboard, I'll actually walk you through it again, so you'll see what it means. But basically, it's a structured way of defining what you want to drill through. For example, let's go right-click on the country field here, and here I can say create navigation path. And so what I can do is tell the system that the country drills down to a province or a state, and that drill down to a city, and that further goes down to a postal code. So when I'm actually analyzing my data, I want to go and have the granular details. I can do that, and we'll see an example about this later when we do the dashboard. So I can do that in my data module. And another very cool thing, and this is the reason I started with 3 tabs. First off, when I uploaded my Excel file as 3 tabs, it automatically recognized that three tables, classified all of them with all of their fields. So it's easy for me to use it right away. And the other thing, which is a very real use case, right? Companies, like we saw before, have data in different places. It's all moved around. Marketing team might have their own database, finance might have their own, and if you're the CEO, you don't care if it's finance or marketing. You want to see the overall company. You want everything in one place. So it's important to be able to join the different data fields that you have. So we can do that here. So what I did was just click on the diagram view here on top, and it gets me to this field, this perspective where I can see the different tables in my data. What I'll do here is simply right click on my member purchases table and say create relationship. What this allows me to do is join the different tables that I have. So for example, I'll select maybe the returns, and I see that my loyalty ID column is common between the two fields, two tables, and I can say man selected columns. This very easily joins the two different tables, and as you can see, we can see a preview of that data, how that looks like. So when it comes time, when I'm actually creating my dashboard, I can use data from all the different tables and databases that I have in one place. You also have the option to, create the type of relationship you want, like inner join, outer join, to set the cardinality and things like that to suit your needs. In this case, I'll simply click OK, and now I have a join between my two tables. Very nice and simple. Go back to my data preview, and what else? I can also show you, for example, what we call aggregation rollup. So this is also new in the Cognos 11.1 release, which, if you're familiar with, it was called, forget the term, aggregation rollups was called, do you remember? No, it's okay. So there was a previous tool which was called something else before, but what it allows you to do, let's take the example of Walmart. Walmart has transactions coming in like almost every second. There's so many stores, transactions coming almost every second. At the same time, the manager might want to see things from the warehouse on a monthly level. Every month this much stock went out. So you have transactions happening in different kind of time fields, basically. So something that might be every second, something might be weekly, something might be yearly, quarterly, things like that. So what we can do here is, you can see in my overall sales table, I have different time fields. So I have my dates, my month, my quarter, and my year, and I have metrics related to those, like yearly sales, quarterly sales, and monthly sales. So what I can do here is go in and say specify column dependencies, and what this allows me to do simply is say that, okay, my year, my quarter, and my month have a relationship. So in this case, my year goes down to a quarter, and my quarter goes down to a month. And now I can put my yearly sales in my year, and my quarterly sales in my quarter, my monthly sales in my month. So what we did just now is simply guided the system what each of these things mean. So when we actually use the data in one table, we won't have double counting. Like if you imagine you have transactions and you have the monthly transactions, you won't have monthly transactions going all the time, right? Makes sense? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So let's get rid of it. I'll do that again. So if I click on my table, and right click and say specify column dependencies on the top of the table. Yeah. And then you can add in the different fields and do the relationships if you want. So yeah, like we saw, like we can do a lot of these things in one UI. And the best thing about this is our competitors use different tools for this. Like right now, I didn't have to code anything. I didn't write any custom script to remove null values, to separate my different columns and things like that. Neither did I have to export my data out of my system and bring it back in. Neither did I have to copy and paste my data. So all of these things bring in errors. human errors all the time, but now it's all done by the system for you. There's no way that anything can go wrong. And at the same time, all of this is in one web-based client. You don't have to use a separate desktop tool to do this. So that's the beauty of data modules. Everything is in one web-based client in the UI. It's nice and simple and easy to use, and saves you a lot of time in prepping your data, because like you saw, the system automatically classified a lot of things for us, right? It saves you a lot of time as you are prepping your data. So I'll save this data module in the demo files folder. Let's call it CBAP data module. And now I can go back to my home page and have my data module ready. So we're done the data prepping stage. I saw, like, you could probably do this in a few minutes. You don't need so much time to spend on prepping your data. Next up, what we'll do is create a dashboard. So in this case, I'll start from here, and I can say new dashboard. And dashboard is more for the self-service users, like we discussed before. Here I'm presented with a list of templates that I can start with. In this case, I'll just pick a template and click OK. And like we said, dashboard is more for the self-service user who wants to come in, do some ad hoc analysis with his data. Now here I have a plain dashboard. I didn't select any of my data sources, so the system doesn't know what I'm trying to do. And while we're at this, let's actually also take a look at the new Cognos Assistant. So on the left-hand side here, you have the assistant. And the cool thing with the assistant is that, unlike other assistants, if the assistant doesn't understand something, it's going to come back to you with suggestions. It's going to come and try to engage you in a conversation, rather than saying, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, I don't know what you're trying to do. So it understands the context that you are trying to achieve. So for example, I won't tell the assistant what I'm trying to do right now. I won't tell which data set I'm looking at or what my goal is. All I'm going to say is open data. And instead of saying what data are you referring to, what do you mean, it comes back with the list of data assets that I have access to. And now I can go in and pick one of those. Let's pick our CBAP data module. And it presents me with a list of relevant fields from my data module. So it shows me the different columns, some particular highlights. And if I click on any one of these fields, let's say revenue, it gives me a more detailed version of that analysis. And what's interesting here is at the bottom, it says you can also take a look at what influences column revenue. So if I click on that, it shows me a list of fields that influence my column revenue. And here I can pick any one of these fields. So for example, I'll pick product line. And what the assistant is doing for me now is it's generating a bunch of visualizations for me, and I can cycle through them and just wait for it to load. So I have a number of options with product line and revenue, a bubble chart, line charts, a number of options to choose from, and I can pick any one of these. And the good thing is that if I wanted to, I can start using this right away. So I can drag and drop it right into my dashboard. And as you can see, we have a drop zone here, and if I drop it, automatically snaps into place, and it's ready for me to use in my dashboard. Very nice and easy. Gives me a head start on using and preparing and creating my dashboard. If you wanted, you also have a list of visualizations on the left here, where you can go in and manually create the visualizations that you want. So you have a number of options to choose from. You can drag anything, drop it on the dashboard, and you can start adding data. Or you can even go to the data itself. So the top icon is for the data. This is my data module. And if I expand my table, I can see all my fields here. And I can drag and drop it right from there. So for example, let's see, I want to see my quantity sold. That's probably a useful one. My revenue, unit sale price, And as you can see, as I'm dropping my data, everything is snapping into place, and I don't have to do a lot of formatting. Makes it easy for me to create my dashboard. So everything is there, nice and ready for me to use. Let's also try to create a map. So in this case, I'll pick country, and I'm multi-selecting, so I'm pressing on control, and I'm selecting another field now. Let's say months as a member, so the amount of time someone has been a member with us. And as soon as I drop it on my dashboard, the system automatically recognizes that I have a geographic location in my data, and automatically gives me a map. So I don't have to do the choosing for a particular set. And as well, since all my data points lie between the UK, Canada, and the US, it automatically zooms into those countries. And lastly, let's pick another field, let's say education and income. Let's go with one more, let's add one more there. Let's say customer lifetime value. Drop it on my dashboard. Automatically picks, now in this case I had 3 different fields, so it automatically picks the best visualization to match that those data fields. So I don't have to worry about finding the best visualization from the whole list. Now if I wanted, I can add more data to my visualizations as well. So as I'm clicking on my visualization, it gets highlighted, and I have this button to expand the visualization. And here I can see that the 2 things that are in it right now are product line and revenue. I want to add another field in here, so I can easily drag and drop in things directly from my data. It could either be color, so it's going to repeat different colors. It could be a filter that I can do it on. I can also, on the top here, I have a place to change my visualization. So by default, it gave me a bar graph, but if I wanted, this data also suits these visualizations. So it gives me the recommended visualizations that I can pick from. As well, at the bottom, I have all my visualizations. So if I wanted something other than the recommended ones, I can go ahead and pick that as well. In this case, let's go with the stack column, and we'll add loyalty status, for example, as a color. And now I have this beautiful visualization showing me my product line by revenue and my different loyalty status as the stacks over here. I'll collapse it, and there I have it. Very beautiful. And like you saw, very easy for me to create this dashboard. Now let's try to play around a bit more and make it more cleaner. There's a lot more numbers here. I want to make it nice and clean and easy to read. What I can do is simply click on my data, and from the on-demand toolbar here, I have the format option, where I can go and do a number of things. So I can go and abbreviate my number, I can set it as a percentage, or I can set it as a currency, and we have all the different currencies that you have in the world. And in this example, I'll just use the abbreviate so it's easy to read. 194K, much simpler. Same thing with revenue. 109 million. Perfect. That's awesome. Unit sale price makes sense. And my unit cost, there's something wrong with my unit cost. It's 31 million. What could really be 31 million? Doesn't make sense. That's because by default, this is because the system automatically tries to help you. By default, it aggregates unit cost to a sum, which is why it is adding up to 31 million. But in this case, my intention is to have it as an average. I don't want the sum of the unit cost, I want the average. So I can go in, I can go in and I can set the aggregation right from here, and I can choose from a number of things, minimum, maximum. In this case, I want to do average, and that makes a bit more sense. Nice and simple. Everyone's following. If you don't follow anything, like just raise your hand and I can repeat the steps if you want. So very easy for me to do that here. And if you remember, we set up navigation paths when we were in our data module. So let's actually look at what that means in a dashboard. Yeah.
I think this is very important. Can you just run through another exercise to that one? Just do the same thing again.
Same thing again?
Yeah. Because this is our first time.
Yeah.
The first time we found what's the feature. Second time we learn.
Okay, so how about this? We'll go through it first, and then when we're doing the homework script, I'll walk you through it too. So then it's a second time repeat of the same. Make sense? Yeah. So I'm using in a way, but it's exactly the same. The trial might be like which one? So, okay. Yeah.
I guess this problem I'm having because there's a difference in the data set. You're using a different data set and I'm getting a different data set.
Yeah, that too, I guess. Okay, how about this? So after I'm done the initial steps, I'll upload the data I have, and then all of you can have the same one, and then we'll follow that. That way we're all exactly in the same picture, right? Okay. And I'll do it in the trial. That way we're all exactly having the same environment. How about that? Okay. So yeah, so just follow along. Try to grasp as much as you can right now, and then we'll repeat it again after. So yeah, now I have my dashboard nice and pretty. I can do. Okay, we were looking at navigation paths. Before we go there, I want to actually show you how easy it is to do the analysis. So now I have this nice pretty dashboard. Let's say I'm a manager now. I come in. I'm trying to analyze my dashboard. Not only can I see the key metrics at a glance, but if I want to, let's say, find revenue for Canada, I can easily click on Canada here, and the dashboard filters automatically show me all the numbers for Canada, and so does all the other visualizations. So now all of this data is coming from Canada. If I wanted to filter on Canada and how my home theater systems are doing, especially for my bronze customers, I can click on that, and again my dashboard filters to show me just that. You can imagine how granular it can get. One filter, and you can find exactly what you're looking for. You can just click outside the visualization, anywhere in the visualization, and resets back the filter. So let's go back to the navigation path. Now, since we created the navigation path in our map, what I can do now is, let's say I want to go a level deeper. I don't want to look at the country level. I want to go look at the province, let's say. So I can click on Canada, and I have this on-demand toolbar, and I can say, drill down. What this allows me to do is go a level deeper. So now I'll see the different provinces in Canada and that data. So now I can, instead of filtering on Canada, I can choose Ontario, and I can filter based on that. I can go a level deeper, say drill down, goes down to the city level, as you can tell. So I have different cities. Toronto, it's all in different areas, that's why it's a bit zoomed out, but if you zoom in, you can see the different cities. So for example, Ottawa, I can see Ottawa's revenue is 891,000, for example. So it's very easy for me to drill down and go granular. A lot of people like to do this because they want to find particular things, so they can do their own ad hoc analysis at their own time. It's very self-service. You don't have to be an expert to go around and do this. So if I wanted to go back, I can always right click and say back. It goes back to the province level. And again, right click and say back, and that will bring me back to the normal place where we had it. So there you go. Another thing I can just talk about, actually I'll just show you. So a lot of times companies have a particular brand guide. Like you Ottawa, what are the colors that you don't relate with you Ottawa? Red, burgundy red. You're wearing the hoodie, you represent it. White, red, black, things like that. When you look at Bell, you automatically think of blue. A lot of companies like to customize their dashboards and reports to their company branding. So what you can also do is, if I click on my visualization here, and I go to my properties, I can set my own custom color palettes. So if I click on my plus icon here, I can go in and create my own palette that I want. So if I'm following a particular brand guide, I can pick the colors. You can either set it to custom and pick the colors yourself, or if you're like me and you don't have a good taste in colors, you can automatically set it to automatic, and based on the first color you choose, the system automatically picks the rest of the colors complementary to the first color. So it makes it very easy. It's like having a graphic designer inside the product making these decisions for you. As well, you might have hex codes and things like that. You can put it in and create your own custom color palette. A lot of companies like that because they can make things look as if it's coming from them. So now I have my dashboard ready. I'll simply click on save, and let's save it back in my demo files. Let's call it CBAP dashboard. So it's easy and ready for me to use now. I'll go back to my home screen. So like you saw, dashboards are very easy to create. It's meant for those self-service users who want to come and do ad hoc analyses in the data, really find those insights by themselves. You have any goal, you can come in and do it yourself. Very easy and simple to use. Yeah.
So for this dashboard which you created, if I want to check the same data, having the same features, but with a different data set, maybe data which I will get next month,
right?
And I use the same dashboard, I will have to create it again.
No, people create things once normally, and then the data refreshes, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, we're using an Excel file. So good question. Actually, I love that question, because you might say, I have my Excel file. I created this dashboard. Next month, I'll have a new one. What am I going to do? What you can do is you go in here, and you have what we have called a pen file. So you have new data, you just add it back, and your dashboard is now updated with all of the new data.
Or can I just replace this Excel file with a completely different Excel file?
You would have to create your dashboard again. Just because, or for example, you can go in, and in the data sources here, you can add a new data source. So you can add another file, any other file as well, and you can just go in and change the different values here, like drag and drop it from that data module or file.
If the fields are same, just the data is new, it's a different data.
Right.
So this is for 1 month, I want data for the next month.
Right. Okay, I see what you mean. So that's an example for relative time, and we support that now as well. A lot of companies, they don't want to see what happened, in the past. They want to see what's happening from today and 1 month from now, or from today and this past week. So you can set a filter. What that does is automatically filters the dashboard to show you that 1 week or 1 month of data. And that way, every time you come in, let's say you come in 1 week from now, you won't see the 4th week data. You will see the latest 1 month or 1 week. So you can set filters that can help you do that. So you don't have to create the dashboard again. That's even though. Yeah.
So you use the assistance where it gave all the fields which are impacting the revenue.
Yeah.
So does it give all the fields which are available in the data file, or does it analyze it on the back end and give only the relevant fields?
Yeah. So if you remember when we were actually going through the slides, there was a smarts engine that's running underground, behind the scenes. That's what helps analyze the different patterns that are within the data, and that's what helps us get that influencers for the revenue column. And when we get to the exploration, we'll see a lot of these things there. So I'll talk more about it in the exploration. Any other questions? All right. So let's get back to where we were. Next up, how are we doing for time? So, okay, very good. Next up, we'll look at a report. And this is, like we said, more for the power users who want to create custom reports to meet needs of their companies. You might want to create that something and burst it out to a number of people, like a phone bill, for example, or insurance or bank statements. Here, I'll start with the blank canvas. It's free form. I can do anything with it. And as soon as I pick that, I can go and select my data source. Choose the data module we created earlier. so I have my data now. And with every good report, we'll start with a good title. The UI is slightly different because now we are creating a report. So you have a lot more options because this is much more powerful than creating a dashboard. You have a bunch of different things that you can use to create your pixel perfect reports. So in this case, I'll simply add a title in here. Let's call it CBAP report. And if I wanted, I can go in to the font formatting options on top here, change my font. I'll just increase the font size in this case, bold it, underline the text, apply. Okay, that looks good. Now I can drag in metrics because we wanted KPIs for our manager, right? That's what we want to do. So we can drag in metrics directly from our data, just like a dashboard. It's all drag and drop. You don't have to, code anything or anything like that. Very nice and simple. And as well, let's say quantity sold. And here, one interesting thing, especially with the new 11.1 release, is the table structure that's running in the background that's going to help you with creating your reports. Now, I didn't drop my quantity sold yet, but as soon as I bring it beside here, beside unit cost, automatically recognizes that I have two fields now and splits the canvas into two columns for me. This saves me a lot of time in report formatting because now this is done for me by the system. A lot of people like this because a lot of time when creating reports is spent in formatting, moving things around, but now it's automatically done for you. And it's all resizable, meaning if I view it on a projector, it automatically expands based on percentage. If I use it on a phone, it shows me in the dimensions of the phone. Let's add another one just to give you an example. I'll drag revenue in the middle. Automatically recognizes, splits the canvas into three halves for me. And one thing you'll notice right off the bat is I don't see numbers here, even though it's cost, revenue, things like that. And that's because, like we mentioned in the start, like people have thousands and billions of rows of data. They don't want to wait when they're creating the report. Every one step they do, you wait 5-10 seconds. They don't like waiting. Just like how when we are actually watching videos on YouTube or Facebook, buffers for 2-3 seconds, we just skip it. Just like that, people don't want to wait. This is what's called page design mode. But if you're a business user, you don't have a lot of data, you can always go there and click on page preview mode. So it shows you a preview of how your report is looking like. This makes it easier for a business user to do it. But if you're a power user, like you are a report author, you can go page design, create your structure, and then run the report directly if you want. Makes it easy for you to create reports very efficient. So now I have my metrics that I wanted. Let's add a few more graphs. The same thing again, I can multi-select different fields and create different charts. And the smart visualization recommender automatically picks the best visualization to suit my needs. So again, just drag two items, so it's going to give me a bar graph. And let's pick education, let's gender, and income. And I'll drag it beside my first visualization. And I have a simple bar graph as well with the two genders represented. Awesome. This looks like a nice report. Might want to give it a bit of branding like we discussed before. What you can do easily is click on the table here, the three dots that you see. Probably not visible too much from the projector, but you can click on the table and you have all the styling options in one place here. So I can click on new style and I have a number of options. I can change the text, so bold it. So for example, I want to bold my numbers, which are the table headers. So you can do it for the entire table, just the header, or just the table itself, which is the title. So for the table header, I want to bold it, maybe make it a bit bigger. And then for the box itself, let's give it a background color. Since we are in New Ottawa, let's choose maroon. So it makes sense for us. And let's actually do it for the whole table. It looks nice. Now our whole table is maroon. And box, I like to normally give it a bit more padding so it looks nice and clean. 20 pixels of padding all across the table. Maybe give it a border. And let's make the text white so we can see the contrast. And I can, save my style if I wanted to. So let's do save style, save my style, apply, and then close. So now I have my table kind of looking the way I want. And the good thing, this is something a lot of customers love because they can save the style. Now I can go in and select my other tables, the other metrics that I have, and I can apply the style all across. I just have to do this once. I can use it all across my reports. Makes it very easy for them to format the reports the way they like. So now we have our report ready. I can go in and save it. Let's call it save app report. Now I can go back to my home page and I can do a number of things. Remember we were talking about how your bill is bursted out to you with different to different users with their own data. You can do that now, or you can even go in. If you right click on this three dots menu, you can go to properties, schedule, and you can schedule this report. So our manager, if you remember the persona we started with, he wanted the KPIs every month. So we can go in and create a schedule. I want it to be run monthly, maybe on the first Monday of every month. I can choose the format I want it to be in, so HTML, PDF, the way I want. In this case, let's pick PDF. And the delivery, I want it to be sent to him by email. So I can type in his email if I wanted to here, and write good subject. Here's your monthly KPIs, and done. Easy as that. Now, when I click create, every month automatically this report is going to run, and the manager is going to get an email in his mailbox. If you are familiar, this is what we get in our bank statements. Every month we get a bank statement. Every month we get a phone bill. This is what's happening behind the scenes. We are just scheduling a report.
Yes, but here we make one report that will be
Yeah.
But how if we want to make this specific report based on
Users, okay. Good question. This is going a bit more, because a lot of people are new here. I might not go into a lot more detail because it's a bit in the next level. But if I go here, in my report on top here, I can go to the report option. This is the navigation path. Just like Windows, how you can go and go to different folders. I have my report pages, the different queries, which are automatically created for me. Like these are like almost like SQL queries. So I can go to my report page, and I have burst options on top here. This is where I can come in and make this report available for bursting, and I can choose the query. So in one query, I might have different users with their emails, and that I'll select here. So that query might be for emails, and then the burst recipients, I choose. This is where I choose what goes out. So I want to send my grades to my students. So I choose my grades over here, and then here I choose the emails of my students, and I can set type to email addresses, for example. I'm not doing the whole process, that's why it's not giving me the option, but I can click OK, and that's how it works. You can set the filter that you want. So if you want to send it by the grades, then you can send it by grades. A lot of people also use this for department-wide, right? If you want to send a whole marketing department a particular report, so maybe not one-to-one, but maybe one report is sent to 10 different people. So you can set that in the different queries here. This is a bit more going beyond the basics, but you can do a lot of these things in bursting.
where if you for the last one, how you say to the system to send by email just making the report monthly, but how you ask the system to send by email to someone.
Just like what we did before, right? So if let's go back. So I have my report, properties. It's called scheduling. So we can basically schedule a report to run every month. I can choose, I have a number of options. I can choose to run daily, weekly. I can set the period. Maybe I want to change this report after a year. I can set it to run for only a year. I can choose the day I want, or even like the date I want. And then I choose the option. So this is how I would send it as an email. So let's say I put in test@ibm.com. I can add his email here. And I can say attach this report, so when he gets an email, he'll have this report attached to that email. Very easy. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just set it up once, you're good. And that's basically it. It's very simple. Algorithms. It's finding the different relationships between the different fields in your data, and it presents you with this relationship diagram. And what you see here are like the different relationships. The strength of different lines is indicative of the amount of correlation between the different fields in your data. And if I click on any one of these fields, I can go in and start looking at how my product line, for example, here is interacting with the different fields. So it gives me a list of charts that I can start exploring my product line with. So if I click on any one of these, for example, let's say this one, it opens it up in a visualization, and I can see and analyze my chart from here. And I have like details. We'll go into this in another chart. But as you see, like, this is more about exploring your data. It's not about formatting or creating a dashboard thing. This is really to come in and find those hidden insights. If I wanted, I can also create my own exploration card. So I can choose the type of visualization. These are all the different visualizations that we have, and you can choose any one of these. And I want to focus on the advanced analytics visualizations here. These are the ones we brought in from Watson Analytics. This is where like the predictive things come in. And I'll start with my personal favorite, the spiral, IBM patented spiral visualization, which is really, really cool. All I have to do here is simply set the target that I'm interested in, and the system will automatically look for patterns within my data, and it's going to show me the different drivers that drive my target. Why is that not working? Let's try again. Thank you so much for coming. Let's try that. Okay. Oh wait, I think it's I know why it said it's an attribute. Supposed to be a measure. So I'm going to set my revenue as my target. Oh, there you go. So normally, as a typical user, you might say, for example, let's pick a good one. Actually, let's say something even better. Let's refresh. So now I have my visualization. I'm going to set my target as my customer lifetime value, which is the most amount of money they spent in their lifetime. Normally, as a typical business user, you might say the amount of money a customer is going to spend is going to be correlational to the quantity we sold them. Right? The more they buy, the more they purchase the items. Right? Makes sense. What happens? We see this a lot. People take that bias, put it in the dashboard. They see the chart rising up. Kind of makes sense, right? It's correlational, and that's what they present. But what they're missing out is this hidden insight that we can see here. So for example, we see that, so in this graph, things closer to the target are drive the target more. So for example, quantity sold and coupon response drive it by 65%. So you're adding another field now. Coupon response is influencing my customer lifetime value. That's something interesting. And then what's 66%? So quantity sold, coupon response, and the city drives it by 66%. This gives me that hidden insight from my data. I might want to now start focusing on the different cities. I might want to see how people are differently responding to the different coupons I have. This is like the additional insight that you might get from the system, which otherwise you wouldn't have ever known, because you might just say quantity sold, customer lifetime value, and you confirm that bias. This allows you to do unbiased data discovery. Next, we'll also look at another one of predictive visualizations, which is the decision tree. A decision tree is basically a predictive mechanism which describes the likelihood of different events happening based on the decisions found within the data. We'll be more clear with an example. So let's say I want to set my product line as my target. I get a nice decision tree that I can browse through and scroll through, or I can also look at a sunburst chart, which is a very compact version of the decision tree, or I can even look at the rules tab, which is a plain text version of that decision tree describing the different rules. To give you a live example, let's say I want to look at my video games and consoles. Here I can see that 97% of people who purchase video games and consoles are those with silver and elite loyalty status, and those that come from urban areas. So now I know like majority of my customers are coming from urban areas and are of these loyalty status. I can now start adding more incentives for them, drive more sales. Very easy and simple. All I had to do is simply set the target as product line. Nothing else, right? No need to create statistical models, no need to code anything. All of these predictive insights are given to me with just a few clicks. So it's very powerful in that sense. Let's take another one. So in this case, let's actually go back to our dashboard. And I was looking at my dashboard. I like it a lot, but I want to analyze it a bit more than my just ad hoc analysis. What I can do is easily copy any visualization from here. So I'll copy my stack column chart, and I'll go back to my exploration and paste it directly in. This allows me to bring in different charts and visualizations so I can explore it further here. So let's analyze this chart a bit more. I have my revenue by product line and loyalty status. Go to the details tab, and here I have insights in natural language generated for me. This makes the barrier for entry to analytics very easy for everyone, because you don't need to be a technical expert. All of this is in natural language that anyone can understand. And this is not only just giving you the highest and lowest values in the chart, but you go like, if you read it, for revenue, photography and home theater are the most important categories of product line, making a total of 77.7%. So photography and home theater are something I need to focus on, because these are the majority of my products. So it makes it very easy. Also, on the top here, we have the related tab. This is where the system is recommending me the visualization that it thinks I should look at, which are related to the visualization I'm looking at now. So, and this is the component that's driven by machine learning. It learns, the more I use the exploration, the more it learns, and the more tailored the visualizations it recommends are going to be. So for example, if I'm not looking at pie charts, it's not going to show me pie charts. So I can again click on any one of these, continue my exploration further. Also, on the left-hand side here, we have a badge with number 2. What the system here is trying to tell me is that it's found 2 predictive insights. It's found 2 strong correlations with revenue, with reference to quantity sold and unit sale price, and quantity sold and unit cost. It found 2 strong correlations with this field populated on this axis. So again, I can click on any one of these fields, and it's going to take me to another visualization that I can explore further. But I want to focus on this one particularly. I want to analyze it a bit more. So I can always go back to my data slots tab, and let's say I want to analyze it based on loyalty status. I can go in and filter based on loyalty status. In this case, let's say I want to see my lower tier customers, so my bronze, gold, and silver customers. Let's see how they are doing. And right away I see that, oh, my lower tier customers have an affinity for home theater systems. That's an interesting insight. I want to see what my higher tier customers are interested in too. But I don't want to lose this, so what I can do is easily duplicate this visualization. All I did is come back here to the exploration cards, and I can even see all the cards that I visited before. So if I want to ever jump back, I can always do that. So I'm simply going to click on the 3 dots and duplicate. So I have my visualization duplicated. I can go in and invert my filter. So now it selected my higher tier customers, Elite, Platinum, and VIP. And very interesting. They like photography more. That's something interesting to analyze. If I want to compare, I can either jump back and forth, but there's a better way. You can easily multi-select both of them and say compare, and it's going to bring the two visualizations side by side, so you can have a live comparison between the two visualizations. And the great thing is that the details tab on the right also updates as it chooses the two visualizations, meaning I can compare them in natural language. I can understand what's happening in two visualizations. Or I can compare them with this nice compare line that's synced between the two charts, giving me live values. So I can compare them like this if I wanted to. I can also compare them at the top in the summary widget we have on top here. So like you saw, like a lot of these things, like we have statistical models built for us, predictive insights, pattern detection, all of these things done for us by the system, making it very easy for us to find predictive insights from our data. So that's the most exciting feature, the exploration feature that we have in the 11.1 release. And with that, we'll just wrap up the slides and we'll come back to the script, the homework script. So that's basically Cognos Analytics in a nutshell. You can do things all the way from creating a dashboard, reporting, exploration, and we had 3 goals that we started with. We wanted to have some extra insights. Now we know to focus on coupon response and the city. We want to focus there more. My manager wants to understand what's happening. We can give him the dashboard that we created and the report that's going to be sent out to him every month. That way he has all the updates when he needs it. And so just to highlight again, in the new 11.1 release, the key new features are the assistant that we saw that helped us get a head start in creating our dashboard, the advanced analytics visualizations that we saw, the spiral. I'll come back to just in 1 second. They are recommended visualizations. You're not having to pick visualization. Their AI engine actually picks the best ones for you. User-centric data prep and modeling that we saw in data modules. You don't have to spend a lot of time cleaning and prepping your data. It's very easy and simple to use. And we are still investing on the ease of use, trying to make it even more easier for our users to come in and use Cognos. And obviously the powerful features that we have of reporting and governance. And so with that, thank you so much for hanging along. I know we had a lot of technical difficulties in the middle, so sorry about that. And I'll take your question and we can open the floor for the hands-on workshop.
Also, you showed us some nice stuff about the predictive analytics, like history reasons.
Yeah.
Are there any other artificial intelligence tools that are part of the system?
Yeah. So let's go back. So let's say I was looking at my graph here. I can also look at driver analysis. So if I click on, let's say, the correlation that it found here, it's going to open a driver analysis, which is basically the spiral diagram spread out. It shows me the different drivers that drive my target, and the different bubbles show the different drivers. So like these 2 drivers drive it the highest. So combination of quantity sold and unit cost is a predictor of revenue by 97%. That
My question is,
yeah.
underlying technology.
So we have chi-square algorithms running in the background. I can get back to you with
Mostly statistical models.
It's all statistical models. Yeah, it's all run by smarts in the background. So yeah, exactly. The statistical models are built for you. You don't have to worry about building those yourself.
Can we use the semi-structured data sets such as JSON?
JSON. Not 100% familiar with what all. There's a lot of options that you can use. Not 100%. I can get back to you on that.
Because in the CSV, I don't think so that we can use like stream data for the CSV, but I think we can use for JSON. So is it supported the stream data as well?
I'm not familiar with the data set. But I'm sure because we support a lot of different data sets. So I'm sure that could be one of them, but I'll have to double check and get that. Any other questions? Yeah. know the language? Which language? No. Like you saw, I didn't code anything today. Everything was self-service. Anyone can come in and do this without having any technical background. Like, you need very minimal training. Like, all of this I can do it in like half an hour without coding anything. Right? It's meant for like we started in the first slides. Our main focus is to make it very self-service, like in everything. So it's meant for business users as well. So you don't need to know any languages in particular.
Question. First, you work on the data set, for example, you remove some rows.
Yeah.
Color.
Yeah.
But as I saw, you didn't remove it. You said that you made it needed. If you save it, the question is that that's rows are removed or they will come back to the data.
The null values that we hit, yeah, they're just hidden. It's filtered out, basically.
They're out.
No, it's still there in the system. It's not ever going to be used when you're creating the dashboard. It's not going to come up when you use it.
When you save as that module,
Yeah.
it was saved as a module or it was saved as a CSV
Module.
So it doesn't have this feature to work on data set, for example, cleaning it, to merge some columns, and then save as a CSV file.
You mean exporting back?
As a data purpose.
Yeah.
Does it have this?
So you want to export the CSV back outside the system? Or I don't know if I'm understanding it correctly.
Yeah. Export the CSV after the reprocessing.
Okay. So it's funny you ask because a lot of customers use Cognos as like a data pump as well because we are very good at governance, right? So a lot of people bring in the different data sources, and what they do is create a report with just a table, and they export it as a CSV. So you can do all the things that you want in your data module, create a report with just one table, export it as a CSV, and you have the data back again to you. So a lot of people actually do that, like they use it as a data pump.
Because I use in my research sometimes use Excel to make some data sets clean.
Right.
Some machine learning.
Yeah.
But when the data set is big,
yeah,
Excel is not that fast.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm looking for a replacement.
Easy to use. You could try using this as well. Just upload your Excel file, create the data module, do what you want to do to clean it, and then create a report. Simply just add a table. We added visualizations in our report. Just add a table and just export it. You have the option to run it. I'll show you. You have the option to run it as an Excel file. So if you click on run here, we didn't run it in our scenario, but you can run it as a CSV or an Excel file, and you can download it. Like, you can use that after.
And the next question is that here you use the static class table.
Yes.
Make some tables, reports, and dashboards.
Yeah.
So what about the live stream?
So if I go to manage here, I have data server connections. This is where I can go in and configure like live databases. For example, this is connected. This is a shared environment, so someone else configured this already. But you can have different settings here for the live databases. So all of that data is picked up automatically. You can set the refresh rate and everything. So your dashboard is automatically refreshed. It's not going to be static anymore. Yeah. And a lot of people, what they do is create dashboards and put it on like displays in their offices. Like, so every week when they come into the office, they see the updated values and everything like that.
So the system uses data set somewhere, but data set is updated.
Yeah. It's refreshed. Exactly. Basically. Any other questions? Okay, so what do you guys want to do? We are at 11:16. Workshop was supposed to go until 11:30, I think. Right. Okay.
Yeah, but the next option is having another one.
Another one? So a more hands-on one?
For the second round to use.
Well, what would you suggest?
That's okay with you, but we can discuss that after.
Okay. I was just thinking we could just do it in 15 minutes now. I can walk you all through it. I can come around and help you with that. It's probably the easiest because since you're already here, everything is fresh. You already know everything. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you want to leave as well, I know a lot of you might have classes and things. I don't mind at all. Like, feel free to go anytime. But yeah, now I guess what I'll do is I'll upload my data file that I had. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.